So did we meet our goals? I'm happy to say the risk did materialize. So like anything, once you get into it, once you know a lot, once you have the right guardrails, it's a lot less risky when you know it versus when you don't know it.
So I came back in August, and I came back with this idea that I called AI September. And the idea of AI September is I said, all right, I want everyone in the company to take 2 or 3 days out of their month and really dig into AI, either play with tools they already have, find new tools, at the very least, play with ChatGPT, which was the big thing at the time, um, up through, actually experimenting with code and some things. So some of the developers, building things and some of the folks like in support, using the tools that are built into the tools they already have. So I was very excited about this. And then Daryl in IT, the head of InfoSec, the head of legal, they all kind of shut down that thing. They threw cold water on my enthusiasm, let's say, which is why it's now called AI October. So it took it about an extra month to do all the things that Daryl was talking about, right? Just figuring out how we can do these things without putting our employees and clients in any danger. I use the word danger kind of loosely there. No one's going to get killed over this thing, but we don't want data to leak, any personalized data from our staff or our clients. And so a lot of things had to be put in place. I mentioned earlier the SOC 2 and ISO compliance. So essentially, a team got put together. Daryl led the IT side. We had our chief legal officer doing the legal. We actually had our third party lawyers involved. So it was a big to do.
And so this was some of the very specific tips and guidelines that we gave to staff at the outset of the month. And first and foremost, it was spend a good chunk of your time working on this. And that was pretty bold. We're as busy as everyone. So the idea of spending 16 to 24 work hours in a month on something that's a little tangential to our day jobs was exciting, but also pretty new. One of the guidelines we gave was really just to think about the job that you do and what you need to get done, and then focus on what might be a good target for AI. So there's critical thinking stuff that AI is not good at, but as Rob described, there are a lot of use cases where, it's good at researching and it's good at doing a lot of repetitive things. Um, because I don't like managing more tools than what I have to, because we do have many dozen, as Rob said, I wanted to push people to look at existing tools where it was possible. So a lot of the software out there is adding lots of AI capabilities, and we wanted to make sure people had time to look at the AI capabilities that's coming in these tools, play with it if possible, or research what's coming so we can start to plan for what do we do with that moving forward. And then also look at, are there new tools? Like, are there gaps in our technical landscape where we need to bring in new tools to support some of the things we need to do? And then there was a big emphasis on teams. So for us introverts, we still stayed alone and did our own projects, but it was kind of fun because we had teams working together and we had themes in our costumes when we got to the share-a-thon. So it became a lot of fun for the whole organization. We did make everyone log any new tools that they used. So we had a very simple form. We had a very lightweight process, but we could make sure that we had an awareness of everything everyone was touching for AI October. And we advised people to be cautious, ask and review the policy, and we made sure everyone was available to help them along the way. The share-a-thon was amazing and ended up being over 3 hours sharing. And we had some awards for some of the pretty impressive presentations that came out of this. So let's get to a little bit of some of the fun part. So um, we had, like I said, over a 3 hour share-a-thon, and it was just chock full of amazing projects. So on the slide there, I showed a high level depiction of one of the most, I think that actually won, of how AI was used at a whole bunch of different functions of aggregating data, cleaning data, reviewing it, presenting that data, disseminating that information, all in one kind of neatly contained initiative. And that really showed the full power of stitching together different activities, different functions, different tools, and then joining it up with AI in a very creative way to actually build something pretty complex and pretty impressive. Because it happened in my team, I want to highlight the Salesforce Apex coding. So, Bing Chat Copilot is not a coding tool, but what we discovered is it knew enough about Salesforce coding that we could actually ask it to help us along the way. And where it was really powerful was kind of repetitive things that we do. So if you're having to write code over and over again, And instead, you can ask a tool to do that for you. Then you can go in, review it, make some edits, and away you go. And there's other tools we use that have AI coding help with it. But again, that's a tool that we already had that had good protection and solved a big need on my team to get us going.
Yeah, this is a really good point, actually. So yesterday I did this. I normally would do a Google search for some coding thing I needed, right? I needed to know a particular how a particular syntax was in SQL. And normally I would Google it and it would show me the thing. And then this time what I did is I just asked it to write it for me and it did, right? So um, if you're not a coder, that's just an example for coding. But my point is, like, I no longer search. Not that I no longer, it's probably half the time I do Google searches. But the other half of the time, if I just want an answer to a question, I just ask the question as opposed to look for an answer. So that's just a mindset shift, that even though I've been doing this for a long time, I haven't made 100%. But seriously, like play with Bing and Bing Chat and Bard in place of your searches. It's amazing how much easier it is when you just get an answer. Like he's got this, he can cut and paste that thing, right? It's just so much better. And then those two, or certainly the Bing Chat Copilot thing, it still acts as a search. So it gives you an answer, but then it gives you the underlying links to the information that it used to find it. It's kind of the best of both worlds.
And it's funny because I still forget to go to AI for a lot of my searching. So I'll get frustrated because I won't be able to find it through my normal searching. And then I'll go in and I'll be shocked that it actually does find the right information for me. So I think I need to flip it. But at least when I give up through a normal search, I find the AI can help me with that. We saw a lot of content creation, looking at the different tone you can have for that content. In the nature of repetitive work, often writing test cases, quality assurance test cases, can take a lot of time. So looking at AI to help streamline and automate that, and again, much like the coding, help getting you started. And one of the other things we did see a lot of, especially on the engineering side, was people spending time in technologies that could help our products. And hopefully you'll see some of the fruition of that in the future. So that is not an AI generated image of Rob in a costume. That was his costume for AI October. So that
That
was
was
part
Nico.
of it.
And that whole 3 hour and 15 minute thing, I wore those sunglasses and a leather trench coat. So, not the best choice given that, but I had a party to go to later and we had a whole theme. So I had to be Neo. Sorry to
Well,
interrupt.
and the content was really good, so we knew your eyes were still open, but that'd be a good costume for more boring content. So the costumes helped. Like I think the idea Rob had of costumes made this a lot more fun, made it more engaging, and the costumes were an exciting part of kind of all the presentations. Um, it worked well because we really had this very clear policy, very clear guidelines, and we were able to adjust as necessary. We had a lot of emphasis on fun. We had that really strong leadership support. Rob was the driver of this and supporting it. And that manifested into leaders making sure their staff had time to do this because a lot of times, people are busy and they're not sure whether they should work on the AI thing or their day job or respond to this. And so this was a real focus for everyone, and it made it a lot easier for people to make time to do that work themselves. So, I mean, I'll talk a little bit about why I think this worked for us. And, we're looking and watching how AI is being built into a lot of different organizations. And I think what we did really well was just build it into what we already do. We already have good security practices. We already have really smart employees that we trust. We already are very customer focused. We're already looking at better ways to become more efficient, more nimble, and better at what we do. So let's just layer AI on top of that. It doesn't have to be a big, scary thing. If you're already doing a lot of these things today, just build this into what you already do. And so we fit this into our already robust security program, and it fit well into that. There was really good collaboration between legal and InfoSec, as Rob talked about, to make that happen. And I shared some of the guardrails for staff. And a lot of that was really around data classification. So we wanted to make it really clear for staff of if you are playing with confidential data, here are the tools that we really trust. So did we meet our goals? So I'm happy to say the risk didn't materialize. So like anything, once you get into it, once you know a lot, once you have the right guardrails, It's a lot less risky when you know it versus when you don't know it. And as we became more AI literate as an organization, it became a lot less scary. The policy, the process, and the support worked really, really well. And so back to those goals, every group found something interesting. Like literally every department, every function found something interesting to do in AI. And the AI literacy just went up exponentially. Most people know what an LLM now is inside our organization and probably didn't in September. We did free up a lot of time, but I don't think we hit that 30%. But there was a lot of automation and improvement.
And
We
also about the discovery of new features of the tools we use. Not all of it was AI necessarily in the discovery, which I thought was interesting. We essentially told people one of the big things to do is look at the tools you use every day, the software packages that we license. And when people just sit back and say, all right, what does this thing do? They found a lot of stuff around automation that wasn't AI. I think the winning thing combined automation from some of the tools she used with AI. So it was interesting to see what came out of it beyond just these particular features. Just sit back and look for 3 days. It was super valuable.